Oh, yes. The very thought of a chocolate cake can make the day feel better. It is a promise of comfort, a little moment of pure indulgence. We often think that making a cake is a big production. It involves preheating an oven, finding the right tins, and a lot of fuss. But what if I told you that you don't need an oven at all? What if a rich, dark, and utterly divine chocolate cake could be yours with just a pan in your stovetop? It sounds like a little kitchen miracle, doesn't it? But it is wonderfully, deliciously possible. This is the kind of cooking that makes you feel clever. This is a recipe for those moments when you need cake now. Maybe your oven is on the blink. Perhaps it is a hot day, and the thought of turning on the oven is just too much to bear. Or maybe you are in a kitchen without one. None of these things should stand between you and a slice of glorious chocolate cake. This method is so simple, so forgiving. It is about bringing a little bit of sweetness into your life with the minimum of effort. It's a quiet rebellion against complicated baking. A simple cake for a simple pleasure. The secret is steam. By cooking the cake gently in a covered pan on the stove, we create a warm, moist environment. This steamy little world cooks the cake through, keeping it incredibly soft and tender. It will not have the crusty edges of a baked cake. Instead, it will be uniformly moist, like a pudding and a cake had a beautiful baby. This is not just a substitute for a baked cake. It is a different kind of wonderful. It is squidgy and deeply satisfying in a way that only a steamed cake can be. It's a quiet, gentle way to bake. So, let's forget about the tyranny of the oven for a little while. Let's embrace the simplicity of the stovetop. We are going to create something truly special with the most basic of equipment. This is about being resourceful in the kitchen. It is about finding joy in the simple act of making something delicious from scratch. This cake is proof that you don't need fancy gadgets to make something that feels utterly luxurious. All you need is a little time, a few good ingredients, and the desire for something chocolatey and wonderful. Let's begin, shall we? First, let's gather our cast of characters. For our moist and marvelous cake, you will need some very simple things. We need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. This gives our cake its body. Then, 1 cup of sugar for sweetness. 3/4 of a cup of good cocoa powder, the unsweetened kind, is crucial for that deep, dark chocolate flavor. We also need 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. These will help our cake rise and make all the other flavors sing. It's a very simple list, with no strange ingredients to hunt down. Now for the wet ingredients that will bring everything together. We need 1 cup of warm water or even warm coffee. The coffee will not make the cake taste of coffee, I promise. It just makes the chocolate taste more intensely of itself, which is always a good thing. We also need 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. The oil is what makes this cake so incredibly moist and keeps it that way for days. And finally, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract for that lovely, fragrant background note. That is all. Simple, everyday things that when mixed together become something quite magical. The pan is our stage. You will need a good, heavy-bottomed pan with a tight-fitting lid. A non-stick pan is your best friend here. Something around 8 or 9 inches across is perfect. The heavy bottom is important because it distributes the heat from the stove more evenly. This helps prevent the bottom of our cake from burning before the middle is cooked. The lid is just as important. It needs to fit snugly to trap all that precious steam inside, which is what will cook our cake to perfection. This pan will be our temporary oven. To prepare our pan, we must be kind to it. We need to make sure our cake will slip out beautifully when it is done. Take a small knob of butter or a little bit of oil and grease the inside of the pan thoroughly. Get into all the corners. Then take a piece of parchment paper. Draw a circle on it using the bottom of the pan as a guide and cut it out. Place this circle of paper in the bottom of the greased pan. This double protection of grease and paper is our guarantee. It ensures that our beautiful cake will not stick. It is a small step that makes all the difference. Now for the fun part. Making the batter for this cake is almost laughably easy. There is no need for electric mixers or endless beating. We will use 1 bowl. It is my belief that fewer dishes make for a happier cook. In a large mixing bowl, put all of your dry ingredients. That is the flour, the sugar, the cocoa powder, the baking soda, and the salt. Take a whisk or a fork and just give everything a good stir. We want to make sure it is all mixed together evenly. This ensures there are no little pockets of baking soda or salt in the finished cake. With our dry ingredients all mixed and happy, we can add the wet ones. Pour in the warm water or coffee, the vegetable oil, and the vanilla extract. Pour them right into the middle of the bowl. Now, using your whisk, start mixing from the center and work your way out. Mix until everything is just combined. You are looking for a smooth, quite thin batter. Do not be tempted to overmix. A few little lumps are perfectly fine. Overmixing can make the cake tough, and we are aiming for soft, tender perfection. It should only take a minute or so of gentle stirring. Once your batter is ready, a beautiful, dark, glossy liquid, it is time to pour it into our prepared pan. Pour it gently into the center of the pan, right on top of that circle of parchment paper. It will spread out to fill the pan all by itself. Give the pan a gentle tap on the counter a couple of times. This helps to release any large air bubbles that might be hiding in the batter. We want a smooth, even surface. The batter will look thin, almost like a chocolate soup, but do not worry. This is exactly how it should look. Trust the process. Now we prepare for the cooking. Cover the pan with its tight-fitting lid. If your lid has a little hole in it to let out steam, you might want to plug it. A small rolled-up piece of kitchen paper will do the trick. We want to keep all that moisture locked inside. This is our secret weapon for a moist cake. With the batter in the pan and the lid on tight, we are ready to move to the stove. Our little pot of chocolate promise is ready for its gentle, steamy bath. The transformation is about to begin. Place your covered pan on the stove over the very lowest heat possible. This is so important. We are not frying the cake, we are gently steaming it. If your stove runs hot, you can even place a heat diffuser or a flat griddle pan underneath your cake pan. This will help to distribute the heat even more gently. Let it cook for about 30 to 40 minutes. The key is to resist the urge to peek. Every time you lift the lid, all that wonderful steam escapes, and it will take longer to cook. Be patient. Let the magic happen undisturbed. After about 30 minutes, you can check for doneness. Carefully lift the lid. Be mindful of the hot steam that will escape. Insert a skewer or a toothpick into the center of the cake. If it comes out clean with just a few moist crumbs attached, it is ready. If it comes out with wet batter on it, put the lid back on and give it another 5 to 10 minutes before checking again. Once it's cooked, turn off the heat and let the cake sit in the pan with the lid on for another 10 minutes. This little rest helps to finish the cooking and makes it easier to turn out. While the cake is cooling a little, we can make a quick, glorious ganache to pour over the top. It is so simple. You'll need about half a cup of good quality chocolate chips or chopped chocolate. Place them in a small heat-proof bowl. Then, heat half a cup of heavy cream in a small saucepan on the stove until it just begins to simmer around the edges. Do not let it boil. Pour the hot cream directly over the chocolate. Let it sit for a minute or two to melt the chocolate, and then stir gently with a spoon until you have a smooth, glossy, and utterly irresistible sauce. Once the cake has cooled slightly, run a knife around the edge of the pan and carefully turn it out onto a wire rack. Peel off the parchment paper from the bottom. Pour that beautiful, warm ganache over the top of the cake, letting it drip down the sides in luscious streams. You can decorate it with a scattering of chocolate sprinkles, some fresh berries, or just leave it glossy and dark. And there you have it, a deeply chocolatey, incredibly moist cake made without any fuss. It is a testament to the simple, wonderful magic of the kitchen, a true treat made with love.